I actually decided to run a few years ago, a few terms ago actually, but I decided not to run because at the time we had, the Democrats had a sitting council president. I didn't want to force a primary at the time, and it also allowed me to sort of get my schedule in order to allow for the time that this position would need. I've always had an interest in running, but I wanted to sort of make sure that I was ready on my side and the timing of the actual council agreed with the timing of me being able to run. So there's certain skills obviously that aldermen should, in my opinion, possess. Given what we're doing, we're setting budgets, we're creating, we're presenting ideas that have costs and benefits and potential risks associated with them. Those are things that I do in my day-to-day work, and I also work with technology. So in the grand scheme of things, creating efficiency through the use of technology leads to less outflow, which in the government world, which would mean to reduce taxes, less expenditures, potentially more revenues depending on the technology. Those are benefits that I think that we would look forward to realizing if I were on the council. There's obviously a long list of things that anyone would want to try to tackle in coming out as an inexperienced alderman. You want to come out and sort of save the world. You want to come out and sort of fix everyone's problems. In walking around the ward during the campaign process, it's allowed me to get a better understanding of what's important to people, listening to their story, listening to day-to-day concerns that potentially people wouldn't know about unless they literally came to their door and said, what's going on? Tell me what's going on in the neighborhood. By doing that, it's allowed me to get a lot of valuable information about what would seem to be probably relatively easy wins with certain residents where things that we're just having missed conversations, or we're having missed opportunities to sort of correct simple problems. That's one piece of it. The other piece, as I sort of alluded to before, is a return to diplomacy. This council and this administration has done an excellent job in getting the fiscal house in order, which is excellent. There are certain things that I think sometimes we get missed because people don't want to talk to each other, or when they do, there's miscommunications because of whatever reason, partisanship, personality differences. I think that if people are willing to talk to each other, I think there's a lot of progress that could be realized. There are certain intricacies to North Olean that we've sort of inherited from North Olean's past. It's an industrial past. There were a lot of contaminated ground over there. I don't think that's any secret. There's a Vanderhorst property over there on Spruce Street, for instance, and the residents have concerns because its ownership is in question. It's sort of a hot potato between different levels of government and former businesses, and it essentially becomes this is contaminated ground. It gets down to a point where, hey, can we even get somebody to mow the lawn? It's a large piece of property, and it gets just down to a piece of, let's have some conversations about how do we get this some real ownership, and how do we get this taken care of for the residents. There are certain codes that just need to be looked at and tweaked a little bit. Maybe they were written a long time ago and sort of need to be updated to give code enforcement the ability to enforce these things. Again, I think it comes down to people talking and not being afraid to communicate. Again, we have a lot of smart people in the city, and I think tapping resources there's an opportunity there. I think we're on an upswing, and I think we're in a good place swinging upward. I don't think it isn't the dire straits that some people would have you believe. I think it's a great time in our history